So we'll just have to make do with what we've got and just use a little mountain man.
For years, Eustace Conway has lived as a modern-day frontiersman, teaching survival, self-reliance, and respect for nature. His life has been an inspiration to thousands who watch him on Mountain Men and follow his adventures through Appalachia. But today, Eustace Conway is breaking news, and it's horrifying. The announcement comes just as fans were settling into their routines, thinking they knew what to expect from the legendary outdoorsman. But Conway's latest revelation shocks not because it's unbelievable, but because it's terrifyingly real. The wilderness he knows better than anyone, the same woods where he has survived storms, predators, and isolation, now holds dangers that even he cannot control. Eustace doesn't sugarcoat it. He warns about the escalating threats to wildlife, to human safety, and to the balance of nature he has spent decades preserving. From encroaching development and environmental neglect to natural disasters, intensified by climate change, Conway's message is a wake-up call. The frontier is changing, and the risks are higher than ever. Fans who know Conway well suspected he would eventually reveal something serious. He has always been candid about the harsh realities of living off the land, but hearing him confirm the severity of the situation is shocking. It's a reminder that even someone as experienced as Eustace Conway can be faced with events that defy preparation. Today, Conway's words are more than a warning. They are a call to action. Survival isn't just about knowing how to hunt, build, or navigate the wild. It's about understanding the fragility of our environment and the real consequences when humans and nature collide. This isn't just news from the mountains. It's a message that demands attention, reflection, and respect. Conway is confirming what many feared, and the reality is as terrifying as it is urgent. For decades, Eustace Conway has lived a life that many can only dream of, a life in the wilderness, free from the constraints of modern society, deeply connected to the land and intimately familiar with every tree, stream, and animal in his path. On Mountain Men, viewers have watched him thrive in conditions that would challenge even the most seasoned outdoorsmen. But now, at a time when fans thought they knew him best, Conway has revealed a horrifying truth, one that has shaken both him and the thousands who have followed his journey. The news is as stark as it is alarming. Conway has confirmed that the wilderness, the very environment he has dedicated his life to protecting and understanding, is facing unprecedented threats. These dangers are not distant or abstract. They are immediate, tangible, and life-altering. Climate change has intensified storms, wildfires have become more frequent and unpredictable, and invasive species threaten the delicate ecosystems he relies on for survival. To Conway, this is not just an environmental concern, it's a personal crisis. The land he has respected and relied on for decades is now hostile in ways he has never seen before. Conway explains that humans are a major part of the problem. Development encroaches on once pristine forests, pollution affects water sources, and the increasing number of unprepared visitors to remote areas creates dangers that ripple across the ecosystem. People don't understand what it takes to survive out here, Conway warns. The wilderness is unforgiving. You can't take it for granted. And right now, it's more dangerous than ever. For fans who have long admired Conway's confidence and skill, this revelation is chilling. It confirms what many had suspected deep down. Even the most knowledgeable and capable survivalists are vulnerable when the balance of nature is disrupted. Conway's candidness underscores the severity of the situation. He isn't making predictions or issuing hypothetical warnings. He is reporting what he sees with his own eyes, and it is terrifying. The message Conway delivers is both a warning and a lesson. Survival is no longer just about personal skill. It's about awareness, preparation, and respect for the unpredictable changes in the environment. He recounts close calls, encounters with wild animals, and near-disastrous weather events that could have ended differently if he weren't experienced. But these incidents are no longer anomalies. They are becoming the new normal. As Conway speaks, it becomes clear that this is bigger than any individual. The problems he highlights, environmental degradation, climate instability, and human interference, affect everyone, not just those living in the wilderness. His message is urgent. The world needs to pay attention, take action, and adapt before more lives are endangered. Conway's experience offers insight into what's at stake and how the seemingly untouchable wilderness is now a source of danger for even its most skilled inhabitants. This revelation changes the way fans view the mountains and forests Conway calls home. The land that has been a sanctuary, a classroom, and a proving ground is now a reminder of vulnerability. Conway's warning is not meant to scare people unnecessarily, but to compel respect, awareness, and action. In revealing this horrifying truth, Eustace Conway confirms what many have feared, but few have truly grasped. Survival in today's wilderness is no longer guaranteed. Even for the most prepared, Eustace Conway has spent his entire life in the wilderness, learning the rhythms of the land and surviving in conditions that would overwhelm most people. But in recent years, Conway has observed changes that are alarming, even for someone with decades of experience. In Chapter 2, he explains the invisible threats that make the wilderness far more dangerous than it appears, and why fans should take notice. One of the most concerning developments, Conway reveals, is the effect of climate change on his home territory. The weather is unpredictable like never before. He explains, storms come without warning, temperatures swing drastically, and rivers that were once reliable become treacherous. These shifts not only complicate day-to-day survival, but also threaten the delicate ecosystems. Conway has spent his life studying unpredictable rainfall affects plant growth, wildlife migration, and water sources, all of which are critical for anyone relying on the land for sustenance. In addition to natural forces, human activity has amplified the dangers. Conway has noticed an increase in hikers, campers, and thrill seekers who enter remote areas without preparation or respect for the environment. People wander in thinking it's just a game or an adventure, he says. They underestimate the wilderness, and that ignorance puts everyone at risk. He has had to rescue visitors from situations that would have been easily avoidable, with basic knowledge and preparation, and he stresses that untrained people now add an extra layer of risk to the already fragile environment. Another unseen danger comes from invasive species and wildlife behavior changes. Animals that once kept to specific areas now roam unpredictably, sometimes due to habitat loss or food scarcity. I've had encounters with creatures behaving differently than I've ever seen in decades. Conway admits, predators are bolder, and even smaller animals are more aggressive as competition for resources increases. These changes, he warns, are not minor. They are signs that the balance of the wilderness is shifting in ways that can be deadly. The combination of climate instability, human interference, and ecological disruption has created what Conway describes as a perfect storm for disaster. Even someone with his knowledge and experience must exercise extreme caution. He recounts incidents where storms forced him to abandon familiar paths, where unexpected flooding cut off access to safe areas, and where animals appeared in places they had never been before. Each event reinforces the gravity of the situation. Conway's horrifying news serves as both a warning and a lesson. For him, survival is no longer solely about skill or endurance. It's about understanding the evolving environment and respecting its unpredictability. You can be the most experienced outdoorsman in the world, but if you ignore what's happening around you, you're asking for trouble, he explains. He emphasizes that the wilderness no longer guarantees safety, and even seasoned experts must adapt constantly to survive. Eustace Conway's warning is not just for those living off the land. It is a call to action for everyone. Human activity, environmental change, and the consequences of neglect affect us all. The mountains and forests he knows so well are sending a message, and Conway, the seasoned frontiersman, is delivering it with urgency, honesty, and stark clarity. Eustace Conway has spent a lifetime immersed in the wilderness, mastering the skills necessary to survive where others would fail. But in recent years, he has confronted a new reality. The dangers he faces now are far more unpredictable and severe than anything he encountered earlier in his career. In Chapter 3, Conway recounts specific crises that highlight the horrifying truth he recently revealed to the public. One of the most frightening experiences Conway shares involves sudden flooding during what had been a routine trek. Streams and rivers, once predictable and navigable, surged without warning due to unusually heavy rainfall upstream. I've known these rivers for decades, he explains. I've crossed them countless times, but that day, the water came faster than I could have imagined. It was powerful and terrifying. His expertise allowed him to navigate the situation safely, but he notes that many unprepared individuals in the wilderness would not have survived. Conway also describes encounters with wildlife behaving in unprecedented ways. Predators, stressed by habitat disruption and scarcity of food, became more aggressive, venturing closer to human activity. Smaller animals, too, were acting unpredictably, sometimes attacking when cornered or feeling threatened. I've had animals do things I've never seen in my life, Conway admits. And it's not just strange behavior, it's dangerous behavior. The balance of the wilderness is shifting, and people need to understand that. Human interference has further complicated survival. Conway recounts multiple incidents where hikers or campers ventured into remote areas without preparation, relying solely on instinct or gadgets. Some were trapped in life-threatening situations, forcing Conway to act as a rescuer. He emphasizes that the wilderness no longer accommodates inexperience. People can't treat nature like a playground, he warns. The consequences are immediate, and sometimes they're fatal. These crises have convinced Conway that action and awareness are essential. He explains that his warnings are not sensationalized for television or attention. They are the product of decades of observation and hands-on experience. Every storm, every wildlife encounter, every rescue reinforces the same lesson. The wilderness is no longer the predictable environment it once was. It is harsher, more dangerous, and increasingly influenced by factors beyond human control. Conway's revelations are also personal. Despite his extensive skills, he has faced moments of fear and uncertainty that test both his physical ability and mental resolve. He recounts nights spent navigating dense forests during unexpected storms, moments when food and water sources were compromised, and situations where a single misstep could have resulted in serious injury or death. These experiences confirm the gravity of the news he is sharing. Survival is no longer guaranteed, even for the most seasoned experts. Eustace Conway's honesty and first-hand accounts confirm what many feared but few fully understood. The modern wilderness is unpredictable. The threats are real, and even those who have dedicated their lives to mastering it must remain vigilant. For fans, viewers, and aspiring survivalists, his message is clear. The frontier is changing, and the cost of underestimating it could be deadly. As Eustace Conway reflects on decades of living in the wilderness, the gravity of the situation he now faces becomes undeniable. In Chapter 4, he shares the lessons he has learned from confronting the escalating dangers of nature, while delivering a stark warning to those who underestimate the reality of the modern wilderness. Conway begins by emphasizing preparation and awareness as the most critical tools for survival. It's not enough to know how to build a shelter or light a fire anymore, he explains. You have to understand the environment you're entering, how it's changing, and what could go wrong at any moment. He stresses that the unpredictable weather patterns, aggressive wildlife, and human interference all demand a new level of vigilance. Even those with experience cannot rely solely on past knowledge. They must adapt to a wilderness that has grown increasingly volatile. One of the most important lessons Conway imparts is respect for nature. He recalls a near disaster caused by a combination of unexpected flooding and aggressive animal behavior. While his expertise allowed him to navigate safely, he points out that the same scenario could have been fatal for anyone less prepared. The wilderness doesn't forgive mistakes, he warns. You can't take it for granted, and you can't assume it's the same as it was years ago. Everything has changed. Conway also emphasizes the role humans play in shaping these dangers. Development encroaches on habitats, pollution contaminates water sources, and irresponsible visitors disturb the natural balance. Every action has a consequence, he says. Even small mistakes can create situations that put people in danger and disrupt the ecosystem. We need to be mindful of how we interact with the land. His words serve as a reminder that the wilderness is not an isolated domain. It is deeply connected to the choices humanity makes. Beyond warnings, Conway offers practical advice for anyone entering the wild. He encourages preparation, research, and training, and stresses the importance of humility. You can have all the gear and knowledge, but if you underestimate the environment, it can overwhelm you, he explains. He also advocates for conservation efforts, highlighting that protecting the land helps prevent many of the crises he has witnessed firsthand. Conway's experiences provide valuable insight into how humans can coexist with nature safely and responsibly, even in increasingly unpredictable conditions. Finally, Conway delivers a call to action. His terrifying news is not meant to create fear, but to inspire respect, caution, and proactive engagement. We have to pay attention, he says. The wilderness is changing, and so must we. Survival isn't just about skill anymore. It's about awareness, preparation, and responsibility for fans, viewers, and aspiring survivalists. His message is clear. The land that has sustained generations is no longer as forgiving, and ignoring its warnings can have serious consequences.